How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Mike here. Today I'm going to talk to you about my very first real estate deal. If you're curious about investing in real estate, or you don't know where to get started, or perhaps you don't feel like you have enough capital to get started, this video is actually for you, so stay tuned. Actually, before we continue, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe with the notification bell on if you want more videos like this. Before I did my first real estate deal, I was educating myself. So biggerpockets.com is a great resource. I can't refer it enough. It's a great place to get educated about real estate, and they're not sponsoring this video. It's just a great resource, and a lot of things that I learned about getting my feet wet with my first investment I got from there. So there's great people there who can just answer any questions that you want. So make sure you check out biggerpockets.com. Anyway, so I had taken a few months to about a year or so just to get educated on how to go about things. I was actually in a position where I didn't have enough cash, or I didn't have the money to get started. Now, you may have heard a lot of people tell stories about getting a deal without, or no money down, or no cash, or no money out of your own pocket. It's very possible, because that was exactly my story. So on my very first deal, it actually cost me $0 out of pocket, but I did pay for that in time and education. So this is how it went down. When I wanted to do my first deal, I didn't have any cash, so I approached a family friend who I knew would be interested. Now, generally speaking, what I advise anyone to do is just talk about it. Obviously, know what you're talking about, and just talk about it with friends, talk about it with family friends, and you can also filter or narrow down the people that you approach, knowing that they also will think in that wavelength. Sometimes when you're trying to sell an idea to somebody who doesn't think in that way, or doesn't think about investment at all, then you would have to educate them even more. Anyway, I approached a family friend and I explained to them, like, hey, I've got this investment idea. Obviously, everybody knows about real estate, but I had to really narrow it down and give them the numbers. I said, if you have cash, what we'll do is we'll buy a rental property. You don't have to worry about anything. So basically, I just went to them and said, all I need is your cash. I'm gonna find the deal. I'm gonna find the resources in terms of realtor and contractors, whatever we need. And also, once we get the property, I will manage it for you. So basically, the person I'm telling this to, they have nothing to do, or they don't have to put hands on or spend their time. All they're doing is putting their cash in. That might sound a little more difficult, or that might be a little bit more difficult than it sounds, but that was the deal. I went to this person and I explained what I was trying to do. Luckily enough for me, they were buying into it. And it just so happened that this person was looking to transition away from their careers and sort of stand on their own 2 feet. They were thinking of something to invest their money in and whatnot. And so what they did was they actually pulled out their 401k. And I thought that was crazy, but I knew that now that somebody was trusting with their hard-earned money, I needed not to screw up. I needed to make sure that I made back whatever they gave me. Anyway, I went out and I found a deal. The deal was a single family property, and we found it actually in a very nice location. Again, when I first moved to the state of Georgia, I would drive around everywhere just looking for apartments for myself and my wife at the time, but I sort of knew the locations that were going through their growth spurt, and this was within the perimeter. So if you come to Atlanta, Georgia, if you look on the map, there's like a circle, and within that circle is called the perimeter. So I knew that this area was going through a growth, and we looked and we looked and we looked. I think it took about 6 months to find that first house that we bought. So we found the property, and initially I was looking for something that needed some work. That way we could add some equity or add some value to it. But we were in the market for so long that when we found something good, I was like, hey, this could be a good fit, because I also knew how much people were paying in rent for that property. The biggest bet on this house was the equity growth, which I was forecasting based on the new entrance into that part of town. We found a deal. Here are the numbers. We found the house. We bought it for $175,000. The house needed nothing. It was nicely done, move-in ready. So the renovations part, we couldn't add any value to it. So we just moved forward with it. We bought the house for $175,000, and then it was time to find a renter to rent it. I kid you not, I thought that it would be a process. Obviously, it was a learning process for me because I had never done this before. but it was not that hard as I thought. And a great resource that I used to find my tenants was Zillow. Literally, I just posted on Zillow, and I also posted on Craigslist. The great thing about Zillow is that you can also have your applicants apply right there on Zillow. They take care of all of that for you, so you're not really hiring any other services to do a background check or do a credit check. There's a process right there through Zillow where everything is done. So it was beautiful in that sense. So after posting on Zillow and other platforms for a while there, we were able to find really good people. Now, this is something I would also like to talk about maybe in another video, is that when you're vetting your applicants, this is actually the most important part of getting someone to rent your property, because the vetting process, if you take your time with that, chances are you're gonna find good people. If you don't take your chance with that, then it's gonna cause you so much more trouble down the line. So luckily for me, my very first try, I was able to find the right people to rent this space, and I think the rent was about $1,400. Now, usually as an investor, you think about the 1 or 2% rule. Again, that's not always the case, because clearly this was not 1% of 175,000. 1% of 175,000 would have been $1,750. For that area, that was just way too much. So even $1,400 at the time that we rented the house was very high for that area, but we were able to find some good people to move in. Over the years, I managed the rent, I managed the tenants as well. So any services that they needed, any problems. And during the time they stayed in the house, we had issues with, I think I've had to replace a dryer, and I've had to redo like a clogged sink or something. Generally speaking, I didn't have to be there in person. As a matter of fact, I was the most absentee landlord ever. I was able to carve out a system where anything that was needed, they reach out, they submit a ticket, and I just submit that ticket to the right service. If it's a plumber, I have a plumber on speed dial. Like, hey, can you help me check this out? Whenever the plumber goes to do their job, they just send me a bill, and boom, that's it. And that's how that whole thing ran. The house, we rented it for about 2 years, and the plan was honestly to rent it and hold on to it for 3 to 5 years. But part of also doing this kind of stuff is you have to see when you have an opportunity to exit a property. When that time came, we saw that, okay, the growth that I was forecasting 5 years ago or so is actually happening right now. So we decided to put the property on the market. The property sold for over $100,000 more than we paid for it. And my cut of that was 30%. So after all of the expenses with the sale and all of the other expenses with the mortgage was paid off, the net profit, I got 30% of that, which equated to about $29,000. So guys, this is why I'm making this video, is that there is a way to get involved and get your first deal without necessarily having any money in your pocket. For me, I was able to put my time in, learn the skills that I needed to learn, also manage my investor, because again, my investor put in their hard-earned money. So I had to always update them, make sure things were going good. The crazy thing was, during the whole time that I was helping renting the property, the investor didn't even ask for like a monthly check or anything. Basically, they waited until the property sold, and then whatever was made in rent, they took that also. It was a great experience in the sense that everything just worked out the best way possible, where we invested in something at a smaller amount, and then a few years later we were able to exit out of it. And for me, with no money down, I was able to walk away with $29,000, which is a great deal. That $29,000, you can guess what I'm gonna do with it. I'm just gonna throw it in another real estate deal and then keep building that portfolio. But really, the best things that could have happened through this process was, one, I was able to experience building a syndication at a very minimum level. Syndication is when you get money from other people to go fund a deal. And for me, I was able to do that without even knowing. I learned what that process was like in terms of educating my investor and keeping them up to speed, and then helping them exit that investment at a nice rate. That was building blocks for me. And now I can go to another investor or somebody else and say, hey, I was able to do this for this person. So if you're willing to invest with me, I could help you make your money back, triple or quadruple, whatever the case may be. So those are really nice things that happen. But I wanted to share this video just for anyone who's looking to get involved in real estate. I think you can do it. You don't have to wait till you have a bunch of money in your bank account. You can literally get educated about the process and just take a step forward. Find the right people who are willing to fund your deal for you, and then make sure you knock things out the park. Do not lose people's money. Stay on top of things, and things should work out very nicely. Anyway, that's my spiel. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And I'm actually curious for any real estate investors in the comment line. I'd love to know what your experience has been if you went this route with no money down and how you exited out of that deal. Again, my name is Mike. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.